Hey everybody, welcome back to GWN. I am Noctaire, your host. So, I hope y'all have been having fun with the daily events that SuperCell threw our way. Pretty cool. Last couple of weeks of March here, we've got daily events that are basically clan games tasks. And they're their usual tasks, like, get X% of destruction or X number of wins or things like that, just like clan games. But what's cool is that each one of them gives an individual reward of, like, say, a magic item, a potion, or something like that. Well, a couple days back, they had one in particular that caught my eye, and I decided to go through on every single one of my games and try to beat it. And I did. And that's 40 games, mind you, that I went through. And for Town Hall 9, I used my favorite troop, the Dragon. A lot of people say, wait a minute, Nock, dragons are pretty doggone expensive, aren't they? And you would be right. They are 372,000 Elixir to run 11 dragons, 4 lightning spells, and a free spell. But, and this is the thing, as you look at these 5 replays I pulled out, which were actually not that crazy for what I pulled in, I was bringing in easily 800,000 to 1 million Elixir in almost every single raid I had that day. And I mean, it was wild. I mean, all day long I'm getting these, these massive bases with right around 1 million each in gold and Elixir, and then it was typically around 3,000, 3,500 in dark Elixir. It kind of varied. I mean, it dipped all the way down to 1,500 and went all the way up to maybe 6,500, 7,000, some of that ballpark. Matter of fact, one of these replays has 6,500 dark Elixir on it. So, really good, profitable day. When all was said and done, every one of my games, every single one of my builders, whether it was a Town Hall 6 game all the way up to Town Hall 12, all the builders were building. And that is absolutely wild. I have not done that in a long time. I played the entire day. I only took a couple hours off to, do the standard substandards, maybe take a shower and eat, that kind of thing. But I probably ran a couple hundred raids at the very least that day. And it was fun. I mean, really, it was a blast. Used a variety of attacks overall, but my favorites, of course, are the dragon attacks. And that's what I used at Town Hall 7, 8, 9, 10, maybe even. So lots of dragon attacks. Now, how to run a dragon attack, whether it's war or farming raids, I tend to run my dragon attacks the same way. If you look at most bases, they're going to have 4 ADs, and those 4 ADs tend to be kind of in a cross pattern, opposite of each other. Sometimes you'll have 2 at the top, 2 at the bottom, but more often than not, you'll have 1 at the top, 1 at the left, 1 at the bottom, 1 at the right. So it's in a kind of a cross, just like the the points of the compass. And you can orient the base in your head any way you want. It doesn't really matter the way it's laid out on the actual game grid. Top is wherever you decide the top is. And once you do that, if you hit the left and the right with those lightning spells, and then you come, down or up, doesn't really matter, depends on how the air sweepers are laid out, you can use your first free spell on the first of the ADs, and then the second free spell as your dragons approach the second of the ADs. And what this will do is, generally speaking, give you a 3-star. Sometimes you'll end up with just a high percentage 2-star, but more often than not, it'll be a 3-star. Like this one that's about to end here was a dead Town Hall 10, but you can see I pulled almost 1 million, and then 6.5 thousand on the Dark Elixir. So this was a really good raid. And I did it with just Town Hall 9 troops. All these are Town Hall 9 troops. Level 4 dragons and usually a level 1 free spell. I don't know if we get level 2 free spell at Town Hall 9 or not. I honestly don't remember. But I ran it against a couple of Rush Town Hall 9s, a couple of normal Town Hall 9s, Town Hall 10, Dead Town Hall 10, Max Town Hall 9s. I run it against all of them. And in every case, it came out with a really good, solid hit, as you can see in these raids. Clan Castle troops. I like to take either balloons or electro dragons with me, and in each one of these I've got one or the other. But it's not always necessary, especially not with dragons. If you find yourself some rushed bases, or maybe some bases with lower level ADs, or maybe the ADs are positioned poorly. I think the next one has a really bad positioned AD. It's on the outside of the base. But depending upon what kind of layout it is, you can get away with not even using the CC. You won't need any CC troops. But since I have multiple games, I can usually go ahead and film my own CC, which makes it a little bit easier. And that's one of the benefits of having multiple games. Now, obviously, you don't have to go crazy like me and have 40 games, but a lot of players will have 2 or 3 games that they can switch between, play different levels, different tactics, do friendly challenges against each other, you know, against yourself, obviously, and of course fill your clan castles so that you don't have to wait on other people. It really does help out a lot. In these particular attacks, the bases that I was going up against did not have troops in their clan castles. Some of the ones that I don't have in these replays did, and it sometimes slowed me down a little bit. I usually still would get a 3-star, but every once in a while I would end up with a high 2-star. I had one that I was debating showing, but I didn't want to take the video too long. 10 minutes is long enough. And it was against a Town Hall 10. The Town Hall 10 was live. All the defenses were, you know, filled. The expos and the Inferno Towers and so forth. But I ended up with around a 70% 2-star or something like that, and walked away with almost a million again on the Golden Elixir as well. So I mean, it was another one that, even though I didn't even get 3 stars, I pulled in a ton of resources. And that's what you kind of got to balance on these. Some people will go out and they'll attack for all 3 resources. Generally speaking, I don't do that. I usually don't go out attacking for Elixir. I go out for Gold and Dark Elixir, because those are the 2 things that you usually need to rapidly advance your base. Now, don't get me wrong. I realize eventually you're going to need to get Elixir because you want to upgrade your troops. You've got the gold storages, the barracks, the Star Lab, and so forth. I tend to prefer to get those right at the beginning and knock out those offensive buildings real early on. Case in point, I'm going to be upgrading some of my Town Hall 9s to Town Hall 10 soon. Right now I've got, I want to say it's about 20 Town Hall 9s, and several of them are either maxed or near maxed, everything except for heroes. Heroes, I usually just let them I take them to 15, and then I boost them from there at Town Hall 10. But I've got a couple of them, including the one at the beginning and end of this video, that everything else is maxed, walls and all. So I'm going to be upgrading them to Town Hall 10, but to do that, I can spend a month of Tuesdays farming, or I can just save up things like medals from CWL. And see, this is the kind of cool thing about all these new resource sources that we've got in the game, like CWL and clan games and so forth. I have runes of Elixir and gold, and I've got, I want to say 650 to 700 medals that I've saved up from the recent CWLs, and that's all it takes. You know, I can immediately do the upgrade on the Town Hall, immediately do the upgrade on the Clan Castle, immediately do the upgrade on my laboratory, and then go through and drop everything by using metals to buy gold and, well, where appropriate, Elixir, so I can drop everything that is new in the shop and get it on the board. And I will have a fully deployed and relatively decent functioning Town Hall 10 just based on the in-game resources, medals, runes, and books that I've collected over the course of the last few months. And you can do that with literally any of the Town Halls, whether it's Town Hall 10 or 9 or 8 or 11 or even 12. And I have been. That's how I got all my Town Hall 8s to Town Hall 9. It was obviously not as many medals, but nonetheless, it works out really well to very rapidly advance. And this has kind of been SuperCell's thing. They've been lowering the costs and the upgrade times. We've got this big spring update here. It's coming up that's got all kinds of lower costs and upgrade times. So they're doing that so that you can advance more quickly and hopefully get to the end game. That's exactly what I've been doing. So I hope you guys enjoyed watching some of these dragon attacks. I know I had fun doing them. Thanks for sticking around to the end of the video. Comments, questions, drop them down below. Something you'd like to see, let me know. We'll be doing a lot more on the builder base over the next few months, especially with, knock on wood, Builder Hall 9 coming out here in the summer release in a few months. Thanks a lot for sticking around, and I will yak at y'all later. Take care and keep on clashing. Bye-bye now.